Okay, so we had already started to talk about childhood and early childhood and their friendships, but what I wanted to just reinforce is the idea that kids are constantly going to be changing friends and they always want to just find someone that is going to have their same interests. And you have to remember that kids are going to constantly be having their same best friend that is going to be in their classroom. And then as they change classrooms, they're going to change best friends. So it's pretty funny how, if you think about it, they are pretty flexible with their friends and they sit there and they say, "Oh, I have a BFF," but then it constantly changes as their environment changes. So they are again flexible with their friendships, but they still need that type of social support because they need to work on those social skills. Now, when it comes to parents, I will tell you that it's going to be extremely important that parents understand the difference between um, punishments and consequences, positive reinforcement, positive discipline, etc. We want to build a positive relationship with our children at an early age so that as they become older, they learn to trust us and not just become our friends. That is not the goal. But the goal is that kids will learn that we are going to be there for them. We will be a support system for them, but also that parents are going to help us grow. I always tell my children that their main job in life is to make mistakes, and my job is to help them learn from it. So even when they make mistakes, I try to do the 3-second pause, which basically is I'm going to take a big deep breath and think about how can I help them learn from their mistake, even though I might be extremely angry or I might be disappointed in them. So I use every transgression as a learning opportunity for them. And with the understanding that quite possibly I may have made the same mistake myself, and it may have been handled very differently as a child. And while, yes, I might have learned from it, I might have also learned how to continue doing the same behavior, but hiding it from my parents. I personally don't want my children hiding that much from me. I'm not naive. I know my kids are going to be hiding things from me, but I would much rather them have an open relationship with me and be open and comfortable to communicating with me rather than being afraid of me. So we need to have warm parent-child relationships, be consistent with our parenting so that kids are aware of how we are going to be handling situations and they know what to expect from us. When it comes to positive discipline, like I said, use transgressions as opportunities to teach. Um, reduce opportunities for misbehavior, meaning constantly encouraging them. Maybe review changes um, beforehand. Maybe don't egg them on, and push the limits and boundaries. I know a lot of parents that will force their kids to do things when they are tired and they're upset, and that causes kids to misbehave. So, watching for those things is extremely important. Have children participate in family duties is extremely important. Giving them rules and structure at home is very important. Without with limits. I mean, without going overboard and being overbearing. Where it says try compromising and problem solving, it basically means working together and understanding that what rules may have worked before might need to be changed, and encouraging kids to just grow up and understanding that as they get older, things are going to get harder and they might have to be working on changing themselves. There's different types of hostile aggression. I'm not going to talk too much about physical or verbal aggression, but I want to talk about relational aggression. Relational aggression is your typical mean girls activities, such as exclusion or gossiping. You'll see this a lot, especially with cyberbullying and kids that are being left out as far as activities are concerned, groups that are being created on discussions, on Instagram for example. But I always think of Elle on Legally Blonde, where they told her it was a costume party and she came dressed up as a Playboy bunny and no one was dressed up. So that would be one type of form of relational aggression. There are different sources of aggression, and when it comes to these sources of aggression, I want you to know that a lot of it does come from our family, and a lot of it does come from modeling, and we may not realize it until we take a step back and actually look at it. What we consider normal may not be normal in other people's families. So you may sit there and be like, well, yes, spanking is normal, but that's because you were raised that way. Whereas to other people who were not raised with spanking, it's not normal. So if you had an opportunity to see people that can flourish without spanking, then you would realize, hey, maybe there are other ways to get around without hitting someone else. So there are other types of discipline, other types of consequences that can be used for children where we don't have to use physical violence and physical aggression. When it comes to the media, I mean, we are talking about the news, but we're also talking about video games as well. I personally do not want or believe that kids should have video games taken away from them. But a lot of times parents just give their children video games that are too mature for them and allow them to just watch them. But I personally believe that if we're going to allow kids to play these video games, we should be at least addressing them and talking with them and saying, hey, yes, you see this violence, but this is not something that we do to other people. Because will kids reenact things that they see? Absolutely, especially if it is not discussed and it's not addressed. Then they will reenact it. They will model it. So how do we help children control aggression? Well, you know what? We do have to improve parenting. Unfortunately, a lot of parents are aggressive, and you may not believe what I'm saying, because again, it may be your normal, but parents don't have to be aggressive with just their fists or their hands. They can be aggressive with their voices, with their words that they say. So we need to work on ourselves so that we can then help our children. We also need to promote perspective taking. I strongly encourage you to take a step back, and when you are in an argument with somebody else, sit there and look at their perspective and try and understand where they are coming from. And heck, you might still be right, okay? But still try and understand where they are coming from in different arguments, and try and sit there and say, well, how would they feel? I always say this, especially when it comes to timeouts. When people put kids in timeout, especially in a corner with their face, their nose in a corner, I sit there and I say, well, how would you feel? How would you feel if your nose was pressed into a corner? Would you feel respected? The answer is no. So why would you do that to a child? Let's get some perspective here. So we have to give kids, a chance to learn perspectives. So let's teach them how to learn the perspective of others. We have to teach conflict resolution. I will never forget walking through the mall one day, and I was behind a mom and her two boys, and the one boy, I saw him hit his brother, and then the brother hit back. The mom didn't see the first boy, so she saw the second boy hit. She turned and she hit the second boy. And she's like, you don't hit your brother, but she hit him. So why would she hit the second boy and then say, we don't hit, when she clearly hit? Was she teaching any type of conflict resolution? No. So it made no sense at all. And honestly, to teach conflict resolution, you have to actually get both people's perspectives. You have to get both people's sides. And that mom clearly did not. And again, it says limiting exposure to media and violence. I personally don't limit my kids to media violence, but we definitely discuss it a lot. And we discuss what's real, we discuss what's not real. And I have never seen my kids reenact what they see on TV. But again, we discuss everything. Now, when it comes to home stressors, right now we're dealing with this coronavirus, and I will tell you the stress in our house is up pretty high. Yes, their parent is a therapist. Yes, one of their parents is a teacher, but we are living in the midst of the Hunger Games. We have each declared our own district, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I highly recommend you either read the book or watch the movie while you are self-quarantining. Hopefully you are. But we are very stressed right now because 3 of the 4 of us are immunocompromised. So we are sitting here and we are all just at a loss. And we're very stressed right now. And what we're trying to do, though, is we're trying to meditate. We're trying to reduce our stressors, but they're still there. Our kids know about coronavirus. They know about how bad it is. And what we are trying to do is give lots of hugs. We're trying to take it one day at a time. And we're trying to keep our kids up to date on whatever questions they have, because they need to be informed, but based on their age. So I do not tell them about how many deaths there are or anything like that, but I am informing them based off of what I feel is age appropriate. We're going to take a break for right now, but I will post more lectures in a bit. I strongly recommend you just take these lectures, listen to them, then take a break, and then come back and listen to the next one.